Welcome to this edition of CBN News Weekend. I'm Charlene Aaron. The big crackdown against Christians and their churches in China may be getting worse. Government workers are forcibly removing more and more crosses from church buildings. And it's not just underground churches experiencing this latest wave of persecution. Gary Lane reports.
Another cross is forcibly removed in China's Zhejiang province. This one by government workers at Lower Da Fei Catholic Church in Wenzhou. Parishioners sing Christian hymns as their church cross comes down. Mr. Chen says the cross is in our hearts. The demolition is impossible to bear. Why do they not let us believe, he asks. Have we ever opposed the government? These parishioners say they are good Chinese citizens. The government insists there is religious freedom in China. But Christians believe that tearing down of crosses, now more tthan 1,500, mostly in Zhejiang, China, proves otherwise. Tu Shouzhua is a senior member of Muyang Protestant Church, also in Wenzhou. He says public security police entered his church complex by cutting the lock off a gate. They came in to demolish the cross without any agreement from our church, he said. They just did it. The latest church cross removals follow the arrest and interrogation last month of more than 200 human rights lawyers and advocates. Many have represented Christians in court. Bob Fu is president of China Aid, a Texas-based group that monitors Christian persecution and human rights violations in China.
It reflects the top leaders, the political leaders of the Chinese Communist Party, especially even President Xi Jinping. They are increasingly nervous about the political and economic instability and insecurity.
Christians are now risking possible arrest by resisting the government's cross removal efforts. Some are strapping themselves to crosses to prevent removal. Others are even standing atop their churches, surrounding the steeples to prevent cranes from operating. And even a prominent Chinese Catholic bishop made an unprecedented public rebuke of the government's cross removal campaign. He urged Christians to resist. Some are making small replacement crosses, painting them red, and placing them at their homes and along roadways in protest. Next month, China's President Xi Jinping is scheduled to visit Washington for an official state visit with President Obama. Congressman Chris Smith says the White House should reconsider giving Xi the red carpet treatment.
The issue of religious freedom must be addressed by the administration during a planned summit in September. We need our government. We need the president. He can do it as diplomatically as he wants, but to have some red lines about these human rights abuses that has gone from bad to worse.
The crackdown may not end anytime soon, regardless of outside criticism. Christians say rather than causing the spread of Christianity to diminish, the cross crackdown may result in more church growth. So the Chinese government may actually be causing the very situation it was hoping to avoid. Gary Lane, CBN News.
The U.S. Embassy in Havana recently raised the American flag for the first time in more than 50 years. The move signals a new era in US-Cuban relations. Heather Sells traveled to the island nation and found some mixed reactions to this change between the two countries.
For most Cubans, the new friendship with the U.S. doesn't mean much unless it puts food on their table or money in their pocket. The average government salary here is $20 a month, and even most professionals typically make less than $50.
Each day, sitting down to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner in Cuba is a challenge.
For many Cubans here, improved relations with the U.S. is good news. They are hoping for more openness, more opportunities, and ultimately a better life.
The embassy isn't the only place showing off the red, white, and blue here. Although the Cuban government has demonized the U.S. for some 50 years, you'll now find young people consuming American culture via smartphones and even their clothes.
I use the American flag because the Americans respect Cubans just like we respect Americans.
But along with economic hope comes political concern. New waves of repression this summer include 100 political arrests just last weekend. Many conservatives believe the U.S. lost any political leverage by not negotiating with Cuba from a position of strength.
we've essentially now condoned the longest running military dictatorship in the entire Western Hemisphere. The Cuban government knows that nobody's going to hold them accountable, and that's why you're going to continue to see a ramp up in politically motivated arrests.
Senator Marco Rubio is one of a handful of Republicans vowing to block any ambassador nominee unless the Cuban government strengthens its human rights record. Secretary of State John Kerry will be here for the official opening of the U.S. Embassy. Many conservatives hope he will take a stand on the need for freedom and improved rights for the Cuban people. They recall how Secretary of State George Shultz made a difference on a visit to the Soviet Union at the height of the Cold War. Shultz met with Jewish dissidents in Moscow, telling them, "We are with you." Such a move by Kerry would truly signal a new era in U.S.-Cuban relations. Reporting in Havana, Heather Sells, CBN News.
U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is making a financial warning about the Iran nuclear deal. He claims the world could drop the U.S. dollar as the global reserve currency if Congress doesn't approve the agreement. Kerry made the comment at a Reuters newsmaker event in New York. He is directly sparring with Democrat Senator Chuck Schumer, who has come out against the agreement. Schumer says the world should continue to isolate Iran until they make deeper nuclear concessions. A judge has struck down an Oklahoma law that restricted abortion-inducing drugs. The law required doctors to strictly follow label instructions when prescribing the drugs. The state's Republican-controlled legislature approved the measure, and Governor Mary Fallin signed it into law last year. But the Center for Reproductive Rights filed a lawsuit against it. The New York-based organization argued that the law placed unconstitutional restrictions on non-surgical abortion in the earliest weeks of pregnancy and interfered with doctors' discretion. Well, a shocking new video from the Center for Medical Progress. This one suggesting that Planned Parenthood harvests baby body parts without the mother's consent. Meanwhile, the Planned Parenthood debate is having a huge impact on the GOP race for the White House. Caitlin Burke reports.
Serious allegations against Planned Parenthood with the release of a new video from the Center for Medical Progress.
If there was a higher gestation and the technicians needed it, there are times where they would just take what they want. And these mothers don't know. And there's no way they would know.
Federal law requires that a patient consent first to an abortion and then separately to donate their baby's tissue. According to this whistleblower whose company worked with Planned Parenthood, the abortion provider doesn't interpret it that way.
So basically he just went in there and took her blood, and you're going to be taking her fetus without her knowing. So yeah, it's just, that's terrifying. Like, imagine if you were an abortion patient and someone was going in and stealing your baby's parts.
Another shocking revelation, patients simply seeking a pregnancy test at Planned Parenthood were considered part of the supply as well.
Pregnancy tests are potential pregnancies, therefore potential specimens. So it's just taking advantage of the opportunities.
Despite the recent videos exposing Planned Parenthood, Republican presidential hopeful Donald Trump recently defended the company, saying they do many good things for women's health. Penny Nance of Concerned Women for America told CBN News that Trump's just buying into the story Planned Parenthood is selling.
Donald Trump is completely wrong. We must zero fund Planned Parenthood. Senator Joni Ernst had a brilliant bill that would shift that funding, all that money, over to community health centers that actually do help women around the country. There's 9,000 of them around the nation that care for the whole woman and don't do one abortion.
Carly Fiorina also blasted Trump, saying his talking points come straight from the Democratic Party. Fiorina recently spoke with CBN's David Brody, saying the Democrats' true platform needs to be exposed to the American public.
People don't understand that the Democrats' platform is, it's not a life until it leaves the hospital. They don't understand that Hillary Clinton has lobbied over and over against parental notification. Honestly, the Democrats believe that it's okay for a 13-year-old girl to have an abortion without a parent's permission, but she can't go to a tanning salon, she can't go get a tattoo.
The debate to defund Planned Parenthood is expected to continue when lawmakers return next month. Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
Coming up, refugees are risking death and flocking to Europe by the millions, and some of them are now forming terror cells. See how the people there are handling this immigration invasion. An unprecedented wave of immigration is washing up on the shores. It's causing both a humanitarian crisis and a security nightmare. Now, you might think we're talking about here in the United States, but the place where all of this is happening is Europe. Dale Hurd brings us the story from Rome.
It is the largest refugee crisis since World War II. Millions of men, women, and children running for their lives from civil war, from ISIS, from religious persecution, and from hostile governments in Africa and the Middle East. We went to the remote Italian island of Lampedusa, just 70 miles from North Africa, where some of these migrants arrive, dead or alive. Here on the windswept island of Lampedusa, off the coast of Tunisia, Italian authorities have built camps like the one behind me to try to contain the refugee invasion, but they know more are coming. Lampedusa's tourist economy has taken a hit from the refugee crisis. But most islanders know they must help the refugees, according to Lampedusa resident Paula Pizzicori, who says she welcomes them.
People of the island, some others just tolerate it because they know it's impossible to stop it, and it's possible to stop helping people.
Roberto Recupero is a born-again Christian and a carabinieri, or military policeman on Lampedusa. He says his view of the refugees changed when he saw their bravery and determination.
I have seen mothers with little babies, pregnant women, children, risking their lives on dangerous seas, and it changed my mind.
But other Italians have not been so welcoming.
Look how they're acting with people. It's like animals, like terrorists, like we come from another planet. We are human beings. We are not animals. You know, I know we are black, we are come from Africa, but we still humans. We are not going back! We are not going back!
But this is more than a humanitarian crisis. For Italy and the entire European Union, it is also a security nightmare. Because reportedly mixed in among the refugees are soldiers of the Islamic State. There are reports that ISIS is already here, that Islamic State soldiers have entered Italy with migrants and refugees from Africa. Claudia Bellocchi is a leader in Italy's right-wing party, the Northern League.
There are people who are coming because they are fleeing war, and we agree that we have to help them. But criminals are coming too. They form terror cells here in Rome. Some are ISIS.
And once inside the European Union, there are little to no border controls between nations. The refugee surge has now reached northern France, where migrants are trying to use the tunnel under the English Channel to reach Britain. EU member Hungary, a major destination for migrants, has had enough and has dispatched the army to build a fence along its border with Serbia. Yazidi refugees hiding in the forest near the Hungarian border say they walked all the way from Iraq.
We walk on the foot. Turkey, Bulgaria, all the foot.
In a refugee camp in northern France, Christians from Africa and the Middle East hold a Thanksgiving service. Thanksgiving for safe passage from the danger in their homelands. Estimates are that at least 27,000 migrants have died trying to come to Europe in the past 15 years. But many more will still try because they believe they're already in danger.
Libya is not safe. There is nothing like human rights. You don't have, even you have their documents, you don't have right there. They can kill you at any time.
Some believe the migrants deserve Europe's help. But can Europe afford to take care of them?
We cannot host everyone. It's not a question of the Northern League being racist. Not at all. We just ask ourselves, why have other nations stopped refugees, and why is Italy still hosting them? The problem is there is no willpower to stop it.
What is certain is that this refugee crisis will change the political landscape in Europe. Public anger is already building against the refugees and against the European Union over uncontrolled migration. Right-wing parties are growing, and a backlash is building. Dale Hurd, CBN News, Rome.
Up next, you may think you're eating healthy, but what you don't know could be killing you. Find out what it is and how you can fight it after this. In health news, Diet Pepsi is debuting a soda that is aspartame-free. The new formula will be sweetened with Splenda and an additive called ACE-K. Pepsi officials are hoping that the aspartame-free formula will boost the company's dwindling diet soda sales. And it sounds strange, but people are starving themselves into obesity. Our bodies crave the nutrients found in healthy foods, but if you eat food that's missing those vital nutrients, you'll just keep craving more food. Unfortunately, our food supply is sorely lacking micronutrients. Even fresh fruits and vegetables are a lot less nutrient-rich than they were a couple of generations ago. And as Lori Johnson tells us, micronutrient deficiency can lead not only to obesity, but a whole host of other health problems as well.
We all know that going without food causes malnutrition, but people who eat plenty can also suffer from it and become very sick. Just ask Mira Kelton.
When I was 30, I was diagnosed with advanced osteoporosis, which means I had the bone density of an 80-year-old, which was quite a shock to the physicians at that time. They had no idea what had happened. And all they told me was that I was going to be on prescription medications for the rest of my life. It wasn't going to get any better, and that was going to be my new existence.
Mira didn't want drugs and searched for a natural treatment.
So I'm going to try taking calcium. Maybe that'll work. And then I started studying calcium, and that led to magnesium. And magnesium research led to vitamin D and boron and K. And all of a sudden I realized that at the heart of what had happened to me was a really big micronutrient deficiency, or a deficiency in these vitamins and minerals that my bones were just starving for.
After 2 years of the right vitamins and minerals, her osteoporosis disappeared. Now she and her husband want to spread the news about the dangers of micronutrient deficiency.
For me, it was osteoporosis, but it's also things like cancer. It has to do with your high blood pressure, your cholesterol levels, your metabolism, whether or not you sleep well. It has to do with everything, diabetes. And it also has to do a lot with obesity.
So this is why we say that micronutrient deficiency is the most widespread and dangerous health condition of the 21st century, because we're all walking around with these deficiencies and we have no idea that this is even a problem.
According to government statistics, this affects 90% of Americans, which means nearly all of us lack at least one critical vitamin or mineral necessary for good health. Topping the list, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and vitamins A, D, and E. Processed food is the major culprit because it's stripped of nutrients. In their book, Naked Calories, the Keltons say 1/4 of the food we eat contains zero nutritional value. Some foods actually take away micronutrients. For instance, the phosphoric acid in carbonated drinks interferes with your body's ability to absorb calcium.
There's a war going on right now with Americans and food manufacturers, and the problem is most Americans have no idea it's even going on.
Most of us know processed food is bad for us, but what's shocking is that even fresh fruits and vegetables aren't as healthy as you might think.
For instance, apples contain 77% fewer minerals than they did 80 years ago. Why the change? Over-farming. It robs the soil of precious micronutrients. Shipping produce long distances adds to the problem. Picking it too soon and exposing it to light, heat, and air a long time takes away micronutrients. A healthier alternative is local produce. Meat also falls victim to this trend. Most animals are raised inside factory farms and fed unhealthy grains or worse.
They're being fed up to 7 pounds a day of stale candy and chocolate bars that these candy manufacturers are throwing at these farmers and saying, hey, fatten up the cattle with this. It will spike their insulin, you'll get more marbling in the meat, and you'll be able to sell the meat, it will taste better. This is just, to me, an abomination.
So if you're a meat eater, choose grass-fed beef.
Now, what's going to happen when the animal is out in the sunshine, absorbing the vitamin D, eating the grass? They're going to have over 400% more vitamin A and vitamin E in that meat. There's going to be 300% more of something called CLA, or conjugated linoleic acid. This is a kind of fat that science thinks is going to help to prevent cancer. It's also a kind of fat that helps to burn our body fat. And this is a naturally occurring fat that these cows can really only get when they eat grass.
Micronutrient deficiency isn't just caused by an unhealthy diet. Certain lifestyle choices can also deplete our body's vitamins and minerals. The list includes smoking, living in a polluted city, stress, that's a big one, and surprisingly, prescription medications.
And that's really scary because when these things become deficient, we start to get sick.
So to make up for what your body's missing, take a supplement, but choose carefully.
The problem is most multivitamins don't disintegrate, they don't have enough of the good stuff in them, and also they're competing with each other for entry into the receptor sites in your gastrointestinal tract.
The Caltons recommend highly absorbable powdered multivitamins without fillers, binders, sugars, or artificial colors and flavors. It should also be designed to take more than once a day to account for water solubility. So while the standard American diet and lifestyle can lead to malnutrition, we can get the micronutrients our bodies crave by avoiding processed food, eating more local organic produce, and supplementing properly. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
And our health reporter Lori Johnson has more on micronutrients on her latest Healthy Living blog, including a free quiz that will let you know if you're getting enough vitamins and minerals. Make sure you check it out. Stay with us. We'll be right back. And finally, Superbook is now being broadcast for the very first time in Hong Kong. Audiences can watch it on Asia Television, limited in 3 different languages: English, Cantonese, and Mandarin. A special Superbook event was also recently held for over 700 students at an elementary school. The main theme of the event was forgiveness. Children enjoyed watching Superbook's Jacob and Esau episode, singing the salvation poem, and playing games. And they also had a photo shoot with Gizmo. You can find out more about what CBN is doing around the world by logging on to cbn.com/international. Well, that's all for this hour of CBN News Weekend. Remember, you can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues that you care most about at cbnnews.com, and stay up to date with CBN News through Facebook and Twitter. We hope you join us next time. Have a wonderful weekend, and God bless.